Okay, so before we begin, let's take a quick quiz. What does Ghost of Tsushima, Jedi Fallen Order, and Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor all have in common? I'm going to give you a few seconds to come up with an answer. Okay, so time's up. If you answered they were all games that were initially thought would fail and ended up absolutely destroying expectations, then you got the right answer. Assumptions, expectations, and comparisons are some of the swiftest killers in the gaming industry. Heartland is currently feeling the squeeze from all three, and it's time we talk this one out. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and welcome back to the channel. Heartland has been under the microscope ever since it was revealed back in May 2021. Immediately, the speculations and opinions began flying all over the social sphere, and this is one of the comments that I consistently see anytime I upload Division content. When is Heartland coming out? Which is a totally valid question because Heartland was initially set to release back in 2021 and has since been delayed 3 times, most recently up to the fiscal year 2023. Looking back to this roadmap for the Division universe, and much of this timeline has never materialized, but what I wanted to concentrate on was Heartland, because no matter what state it eventually launches in, no matter how strong or weak the content may be, it faces a tremendously steep climb to achieve success. The first and definitely most thorough of those gaming killers I mentioned earlier has to be comparisons. How will Heartland stack up versus those that came before? And in the world of the Division, Heartland immediately runs headlong into the GOAT: survival. Now, undoubtedly, Red Storm saw this storm coming a mile away, hence them labeling Heartland as a shooter action game versus that of survival, which is, by the way, many things to many people, but has eventually settled into the header of Extraction Royale. But despite that intentional shift in branding, the comparisons will still be applied. Division agents, PvEVP, loot to collect and extract, and a virus to battle. Those who know survival will notice small differences, but just based on those terms, the connections will be applied, and with it, the comparisons. Fair or unjust, that's an argument for another day, but those comparisons are going to happen. And this may be a bit of a heater that I'm going to throw out there, but you aren't going to beat survival at its own game. The best you could try to do is to create enough of a difference gap to try to maintain some form of individuality. Survival was a genre-defining mode that stripped the Division down to its very primal core. No gear sets, no setups, just the Division experience in an ultra-concentrated and super addictive form. Some would even argue that this is what the entire Division game should have been, but again, different discussion for a different day. So what happens when Heartland eventually punches the go-live switch? Will it be Survival 2.0? Will it do enough or even exceed those survival comparisons? That's a monumental ask for any game, but especially one that is set in the Division universe. Let's table that comparisons topic for just a bit and next turn to assumptions. Now, besides the natural glee players express that it's going to be Survival 2.0, by the way, their words, not mine, the most heated and often used comment I see is down to the fact that Heartland is going to be F2P, or free to play. There is an entrenched and morally opposed section of the general gamer base that sees those words, free to play, and they just instantly check out. Again, a discussion topic for another video. The question of why, should, and or what motivated Ubisoft to push Heartland over to this type of model, and strong arguments can be made on both sides of the aisle. Free-to-play gives more players access to the ability for someone to experience a slice of the Division universe with no cash outlay. On the flip side, there are numerous horror stories of F2P gone wild, crazy monetization models, subscription fees, and the most dreaded moniker in the gaming world, pay to win. At this point, we actually know very little about how Heartland will attempt to monetize the game. Will it be strictly cosmetics? Will it be cosmetics and season passes to new content? Or will it just go full EA? Also, a bit of an odd choice to go with this model considering the negative stigma surrounding the name and the overall vibe that Ubisoft is late to the party with this monetization model. Let's next transition over to expectations, and of all the Swift gaming killers, I find this one to be the harshest of them all. There are such strong opinions on both sides, and I often can't tell if the person submitting the statements truly believes what they are saying, or is it just some tagline they've seen and decided to echo. You've got the uber hyped all lined up on one side of the field versus the set in stone, this game will suck, destroyers. And all of this is based on leaked early footage from a few years ago and an official Ubisoft trailer during Ubiforward that showed very little continuous gameplay. Now, this is also an interesting topic. Supporters and destroyers both dug in, firm in their beliefs that the game will either be golden or shite. I still wonder how anyone can truly form a solid and or educated opinion about Heartland. How do you know it will be excellent unless you've already convinced yourself that it will be nothing but that? On the flip side, how do you know it's going to suck? And this brings me to the assumption that Heartland will be an actual whatever you want it to be. It will be that Survival 2.0. It will be the savior of the entire franchise. It will be the suckiest product to ever go live. Who actually knows? From the limited footage available, we've seen Division agents wearing what seem to be scaled down setups from previous titles, that third-person perspective, some gunplay, melee weapons, and some weather cycles. Again, how has anyone formed such a solid and entrenched opinion about a game that has seen basically nothing but some previous leaked footage from a long time ago, plus that mentioned B-roll from the last Ubiforward presentation? And I feel this is the perfect point to transition over to my final points about Heartland. How long it has been since it was first announced, and how little communication has been made to the player base concerning the game itself. Firstly is that lack of communication. This one is really pretty simple. It's basically been nothing for 2 years besides the occasional playtest blast. Players would be more moderate towards the potential of the game if they knew more. Overall, a pretty simple concept here. The second point takes a little longer to explain, but it all boils down to too much time in the oven. Now, we've seen an extreme example of what happens when you leave a game in the development cycle for too long. Exhibit A, Skull and Bones. Now, Heartland hasn't been in there nearly as long, but it's been 2 years since the game was announced. 2 years of basically no communication. 2 years with nothing but a few minutes of chopped up B-roll footage during a Ubiforward livestream. And it begs the question, has Heartland missed its window? Has it missed its opportunity to make the maximum splash on not only the Division fan base, but the general gaming market? I mean, we know so little, and each time we ask one question, 3 others spring up. Now, we know that Heartland received its official ratings from the likes of ESRB and PEGI. It's also been confirmed that Ubisoft will be holding their next Ubiforward event this June. Now, the lineup hasn't been confirmed yet, but I would expect Heartland to be in that showcase lineup, at which point it needs to make the maximum splash possible or risk further indifference. Ultimately, if you believe Heartland will be the messiah for PvEVP in the Division, Survival 2.0, etc., then that is what it's going to be for you. And the reverse holds true as well. But whenever we finally do get our hands on Heartland, as I've laid out in this breakdown, it will have a truly steep mountain to climb to be that game-changer, standalone mode it has been touted to be. Lots of food for thought in this one for you to crunch on. I truly do hope that when Heartland does go live, it will absolutely blow people's minds. Fingers crossed on this one. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell to receive my future upload notifications. Remember, you can find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and over in my open community Discord server, links to all of which can be found in the video description and pinned comments below. Shout out to the over 116,000 of you that have taken the leap and hit subscribe, and a special thanks as always to my patrons over on Patreon. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.